Welcome to the China Angle. I'm Simone Gao. Today, we'll focus our investigation on the new coronavirus whistleblower. Last week, Dr. Yanli Meng, a virologist from Hong Kong, was interviewed by Fox News about China's cover-up of the COVID-19 pandemic. Dr. Yan, who fled to the U.S. from Hong Kong in April, was one of the first scientists secretly assigned by the University of Hong Kong School of Public Health to study the virus that came out of Wuhan.
I report these things to Liu Peng once I get the result, but he asked me to keep silent and be careful, as he warned me.
In the Fox News interview, Dr. Yan said she uncovered evidence that Chinese authorities were aware of human-to-human transmission of COVID-19 in late December, but covered it up for more than 20 days. Most of that information had already been made public. So why would Fox News spend the 13 minutes of their broadcast focused on that information, despite having more than 4 hours of interview material with Dr. Yan? I believe what the Fox News interview did not air is more important than what they did. What did they leave out? Why would they not air the new, exclusive details Dr. Yan must have revealed, details she fled China to share? Why would they not discuss how early the Chinese government and their scientists knew this could become a global pandemic, or the crucial decisions they made in the early stages of the pandemic? The Fox News interview did not address these questions, but we did. 2 weeks ago, in our 1-hour documentary, The Cover-Up of the Century, we shed light on key pieces of evidence that might reveal the Communist Party of China's intentions. We exclusively revealed that immediately after China publicly acknowledged human-to-human transmission, all Chinese provinces were placed under restrictive quarantine. During this total lockdown, Chinese citizens were not allowed to travel domestically. Yet they were not only allowed, but encouraged to travel abroad. Did the CCP simply want to cover up the source of the pandemic? Did they have more sinister motives in mind, like an intentional spreading of the virus to the rest of the world? Or did they simply not care? We uncovered the answers to these questions and more in The Cover-Up of the Century. Here is part of that discovery. As 2020 approached, the United States found itself in a tense and rare time. For just the third time in American history, a sitting president had been impeached.
Article 1 is adopted.
The media focus was entirely on the impending Senate decision and if Trump would be removed from office. Anything beyond the United States borders seemed trivial. And that's right when the news of an unknown virus spreading in a far-off land quietly arrived at the U.S. CDC headquarters in Atlanta. According to an April 4th Washington Post report, the CDC learned a cluster of cases in China on December 31st, but this information was not provided by the Chinese authorities. In fact, it wasn't until January 3rd when CDC Director Robert Redfield received a call from a counterpart in China. The Chinese CDC told Redfield that a mysterious illness had been spreading inside Wuhan. We inquired about the details of that phone call to the CDC, particularly when the Chinese CDC told the U.S. that the virus could spread between people. The CDC did not respond. The rest of the world began to know something was going on inside Wuhan by mid-January. But the world wasn't told the severity. On January 14th, the WHO began echoing the Chinese government's stance of no clear evidence of human-to-human transmission.
It's very clear right now that we have no sustained human-to-human transmission.
It also recommended no travel bans. The WHO maintained its position about the unverified or limited nature of human-to-human transmission until January 23rd, 3 days after China publicly confirmed such transmission. Meanwhile, in the United States, on January 18th, President Trump was finally substantially briefed by health officials about the coronavirus. He had been receiving intelligence briefings before that, tracking the spread of the virus in China and later in other countries. According to the Post, the briefings did not predict when the virus might land on U.S. shores. It also did not recommend particular steps that public health officials should take. It did, however, warn that Chinese officials appear to be minimizing the severity of the outbreak. 1 week after that briefing, President Trump placed a travel ban on China. His ban was one of the first in the Western Hemisphere.
Lives are at stake. This is not a time.
Political opponents criticized him for overreacting and being racist for banning Chinese travelers. Only history has proven that this move was neither excessive nor early enough, after all. According to VeriFlight, an aviation data company based in China, by mid-January, about 4,000 people had already entered the United States directly from Wuhan. In January alone, about 381,000 travelers flew directly from China to the United States. What's even more worrying is that after China locked down internally, outbound traffic from China did not slow down. On January 23rd, Wuhan was the first to fully lock down. All the remaining provinces in China followed suit before February 10th. Under the total lockdown, Chinese people could not travel domestically, but were still allowed to go abroad. In fact, while implementing strict domestic quarantine measures in February, the Chinese regime kept reassuring the world that the outbreak was fully under control, and it continued to encourage international travel from Chinese cities. Chinese state media Xinhua confirmed this on February 6th. They reported that 2 days earlier, the Civil Aviation Administration required Chinese airlines to continue flying international routes to nations that had no travel restrictions. On February 3rd, the WHO once again parroted China at the opening of the agency's executive board meeting. Director General Tedros supported China's assertion that all was well for international travel.
There is no reason for measures that unnecessarily interfere with international travel and trade. We call on all countries to implement decisions that are evidence-based and consistent. WHO stands ready.
According to VeriFlight, scheduled international flight services from China did not face a significant drop-off until March 30th, while scheduled domestic travel was severely limited as early as February 9th. Why did the CCP conceal the truth about human transmission, then allow Chinese people to travel abroad? Did they want to spread the virus to the entire world?
The CCP always takes its political power as the most important thing. It also takes economic operations as extremely important, since economic operations guarantee social stability inside China, and thus guarantees its political power. So, in this process, the CCP let international flights continue their travel. That way, it could give the world a false appearance of stability, guaranteeing multinational companies would stay inside China. And to the whole world, the CCP gave people the false impression that it could control the epidemic and the situation. That was to avoid all of its foreign investment from vanishing and all of its businesses going into upheaval. So, in this situation, the CCP did not order international flights to close down. On top of that, on January 31st, we saw that the CCP was aggravated after Trump ordered a temporary ban on Chinese air travel. The Foreign Ministry issued criticism, so that goes to show that the CCP takes economic profit as more important than human life. That's not just saying it doesn't regard Chinese people's lives, but the CCP doesn't care about any lives in any country of the world.
Like what we have discussed, there are practical reasons for their silence, like keeping up appearances so foreign investors won't get scared off. As to whether they had other more sinister intentions, such as spreading the virus to the entire world, we don't really know for sure. But what we are sure about is that the CCP knew in early January that there would be worldwide competition on the horizon for one specific product. The Associated Press obtained a 4-page Department of Homeland Security intelligence report dated May 1st. According to the report, Chinese leaders intentionally concealed the severity of the pandemic from the world in early January. While doing so, they increased the imports and decreased the exports of medical supplies. It attempted to cover this up by denying there were export restrictions and delaying provision of its trade data. High-ranking officials in Taiwan support this. Chen Qimai, Vice Premier of the Republic of China, spoke about medical supplies in a recent interview with the Formosa TV network. Mr. Chen revealed that while looking to place orders on face masks, he made a phone call to one of Taiwan's local medical supply manufacturers on January 27th.
I made a phone call to Huang Qingshan, the CEO of Nanliu Enterprise, which is the manufacturer of non-woven cloth, and I was told that China had purchased a huge amount of non-woven cloth from India 1 month ago. So the masks are out of stock all around the world.
On May 14, 2020, the FBI issued a statement on a new investigation. China-affiliated cyber actors have been both targeting and compromising U.S. organizations conducting COVID-19 related research. These attacks aim to steal research results related to vaccines, treatments, and testing. According to the Wall Street Journal, U.S. officials stated that China and Iran started such attacks as early as January 3rd.
When I saw this news, what shocked me wasn't that they were stealing intellectual property, since the CCP is always doing that anyway. What got my attention was that they started stealing vaccinations on January 3rd. They gathered related research results. This confirms that the CCP knew at a very early time how dangerous this disease was.
If the CCP was just trying to hide the source of the virus and the scale of the outbreak, we'd expect them to acknowledge the cover-up and offer explanations for it. But even after medical and scientific experts from other countries uncovered the truth, the CCP continues to rigidly maintain the cover-up, because the cover-up was not their only purpose or strategy. In our next episode of the China Angle on this topic, we will focus on one unusual directive from the Chinese Communist leadership to ban all research on the origin of the virus inside China. We will delve into why such a decision was made and what else the CCP could be hiding. Be sure to check it out. If you like our exclusive in-depth reporting, please share our programs and subscribe to our channel. Thank you. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.